Divine peace and blessings. This is the Divine Prince, Ty Emmecca. And I have a few things today I want to talk about. Primarily crystals. I've gotten quite a bit of email and requests in regards to not only crystals, how to use them, how to build a relationship, if you will, an energetic relationship with a stone, mineral, gem, but also how to utilize them to accent, uplift, draw out, draw to the surface, elevate true spiritual energy, true spiritual power, true spiritual consciousness, if you will. And many of the questions are driven by the need to self elevate without trust of systems, without trust of teachers, leaders, mentors, etc. There's a great deal of mistrust, fear that exists in the world today, particularly in the Western world, as it relates to authentically connecting with these spirit paths in a way that I think may have been simpler in the past when there wasn't so much political energy attached to consciousness and to the pursuit of religion and spirituality. So today people are seeking guidance without a guide, or seeking help without a helper, if you will. We want to improve, we want to heal, we want to move forward, we want to grow and evolve spiritually, but we are fearful, mistrustful, sometimes unwilling to submit ourselves to systems, to teachers, to the tutelage of a master teacher in any particular area of study. So often I teach in my own practice the power of crystal, not only because it is non-specific to religion, but also because it doesn't require, at least early on, a whole lot of technical know-how, awareness, and consciousness in order to activate them, utilize them, unblock, and move forward. One of the crystals I want to talk about today are tabby crystals. And tabby crystals, like all, well, not all quartz crystal, but most quartz crystals, have 6 sides. And there are quartz and other family of crystals that have evolved 7 sides, 8 sides, or even 9 sides or more. Herkimer diamond is a good example of a stone that naturally develops a multitude of windows, sides, dimensions, if you will, double terminated on every side. Traditionally, most quartz are of this clear quartz variety and will have 6 sides of varying math and number. Tabbies, however, have 2 smaller windows in the middle and then 2 wider windows on opposing ends, which creates a flattened appearance to the stone, which creates a tabular design, a tabular math. And tabbies are masters of communication, passing energy from one place to another, one person to another, um, one location to another, but the transference of energy. Now, they accomplish this in a very different way than a double terminated crystal. Double terminated crystals grow from a seed crystal, usually somewhere towards the center, a centered seed, if you will, and then it will grow a termination, a point on both ends, creating what is called a double terminated crystal. The Herkimer diamond does not necessarily have a center point. It will have a seed molecule or a seed atom, and the material will sort of grow around that, developing terminations randomly on every side, every available corner. But then single pointed, single terminated quartz develop six sides and a point. And then there are phantoms, self-healed phantoms, tabby crystals, channeling crystals, various forms of math which create different lengths, different dimensional spaces, different characteristics within the crystal. Now, tabbies not only are great communicators and are great at transporting uh, energy from one place to another, but as with most quartz crystal varieties, they have the ability to store energy, transfer energy, transmute the energy, amplify the energy. And generally speaking, with the six windowed or six sided quartz crystals, we generally provide six attributes: storing, absorbing, amplifying, balancing, focusing, transmitting. But in my own practice, in my own experience, those crystals that you find that have seven sides, eight sides. For instance, this is a seven planed citron quartz. If I were to rotate it 360 degrees around, you're actually going to count seven sides and not six to this crystal. So that seventh dimension or that eighth dimension adds a whole nother layer of magic and ability to the stone. Uh, I believe, and of course I don't have scientific backing of this yet, but I believe that those higher octaves, those higher windows, um, lead to realities, to dimensional spaces that science has not come to know or map yet, but can be obtained, utilized within spirit in magic, ritual, healing, consciousness, all forms of holistic light work, if you will. Beginning with any crystal, not just tabbies, but any crystal, requires building a relationship with the stone. I suggest wearing the stone, carrying the stone, sleeping with the stone as much as possible. Now, this will be challenging. You are dealing with sometimes a stone that can be damaged, that can be broken, that can be chipped, that can be forgotten, lost, left behind. So, part of the spiritual and maybe even personal discipline required to get to know stones and get to any level of proficiency requires a great deal of meditation, transcendental meditation, breathing, visualization, learning how to center, how to still the mind. And after we learn to center and still the mind, then we can utilize vision more proactively to create, procreate, regenerate experiences that we wish to have, that we wish to keep within our vibrational environment, within our vibrational pattern. We all believe and understand on some level that we have an energy. You know, sometimes you meet a person and you just don't click. It may not have anything to do with what they look like, where they come from, what information you may or may not know about them, but about energetic attraction. So we first choose our crystals through energetic attraction. What stones are you drawn to? What stones speak to you the most? Which stones pull you in? When I picked this crystal up, I could not put it down. In fact, I left the store and was on my way home and went back to get it because I could not release myself from the energy attraction as was related to the stone. I went in to get the double Terminator, but ended up going back and getting this very powerful Master Tabby. Now I'm a little bit more proficient. I've been working with crystal a little bit longer. Attuning to a stone might be easier for me than a beginner or someone who doesn't have the same practice with working with the stones. And it's not complicated. It does not have to be complicated. We first start by just being silent, being still, still in the mind, paying attention to our breathing, and just looking at the stone, turning the stone, studying the outside surface, which may be hard to demonstrate on camera. But there's always a very different texture to the surface, sometimes to each surface, than what's going on within the crystal itself. There might be etchings, there might be lines, there might be striations, little potholes, if you will, depending on the crystal, the variety of other minerals that were in the environment during the development of the crystal, and then its particular type or characteristic. Celestials, etched crystals, record keepers, all these crystals are known and well documented to have very detailed, very structured uh, outer surfaces. Let me see if I can choose a crystal that might be more giving in terms of revealing that surface. Now, if you can hold the crystal just, you don't want the glare, so you don't want the light to sort of hit the crystal and then blind you to what's going on the immediate surface, on the skin of the crystal, if you will. You might even rub your finger along the crystal and you can feel lines or indentations and then hold that up just slightly to the light and you can get a more clearer picture of what's going on just at the surface as opposed to looking straight into the stone and then reading what's deep within. So you want to start with the surface and work your way into the stone. And over time, you'll find that crystals are alive. They do grow. They do develop. You will find differences, changes, varieties in some of these stones. Days later or weeks later, sometimes years later. I don't really believe all crystals develop at the same pace. Some were created in nature, uh, possibly almost instantly, uh, when the cool down was immediate, and then others may have grown, developed, had more time to clarify, get more clearer, get more faceted, get more perfected. They may have involved a heated environment that was hot enough to keep it sort of moving, fluid, evolving, but just cool enough where layers of development were allowed to grow. And experimenting with crystals like sugar crystals, you can find commonly science projects online, usually for children involving sugar and hot water and string, and you can learn, observe the process of crystal growth. Uh, but the environment in which these quartz crystals develop in nature, I'm sure, is much more extreme than anything we could possibly duplicate or create at home in the kitchen. So you want to observe the crystal, learn the feel of the crystal, learn what the crystal looks like. Every aspect uh, with every sense that you can utilize. Then after, depending on your proficiency, some time with that, then you begin to get into more guided meditations, calling forth specific imagery, specific messages, uh, projecting those energies out to other people, distance healing, reading people at a distance, helping people, if you will, to address various issues with and through the crystal. But as with any science, any art, it takes time, it takes dedication, it takes truly being willing to be quiet and to be still and to allow yourself to become a part of the spirit process, to feel the crystal, to go within the crystal as you go within yourself. The crystal can act like a mirror, can act like a reflector of both the outside world, if you will, that dimensional space, but also internally. Going into the crystal can equate to going in self. Exploring crystal can be equated with exploring self, being centered, being still, being clear, being open, allowing spirit to speak, allowing vibration to come forward, allowing vision to come forward. This is the beginnings of understanding the world of crystal, of getting into the science of crystal. A great deal of study, reading books, learning new math, learning new physics was a part of that journey for me. But a great deal of the knowledge is spoken directly to spirit, is spoken directly from the crystal. The crystal will teach you what it is, will teach you how to use it, will teach you how to apply it, and can help to truly elevate any spiritual experience, any religious experience, any consciousness exploration to a deeper, more heightened experience. I'll be back with more. All is truly and indeed a blessing. Ashe.